All right, live here, Hamin Media Group YouTube page. It is a joint production. The Hamin Media Group, RBV, representing the HMG joint project. Hey, you know the man over there. He's one of the top podcasters in the world because Rolling Stones says so. Everyone says it. Rolling Stone says it. TMZ says it. All the legends that you interview say it. Mr. John Poz. Hey, we got a little pre-roll before we jump into our new little special series we got. We're going to pull the curtain back on WWE, pulling the curtain back. We're going to be talking season 3 of UnReal, but want to get a little pre-roll and make sure that my feed is streaming along here properly. And before we even get to UnReal, we're already coming in hot because before we hit play here, you're just pressing my buttons here, Poz. You're telling me that you not even dislike, not even despise, that you hate Pat McAfee and you're glad that he is gone from professional wrestling.
He was brutal, let's be honest. And I know you love him and you watch his show every week and you love him on ESPN, but he was brutal.
I just had him on. The reason we were talking about that, because Pat was putting over some of the big star cameos from this past Saturday Night Main Event. Jimmy T and I are going to be talking about it here at 3 o'clock this week at WWE. We're going to be running through the big hype. We're on the official hype for SummerSlam. Format's a little different this week, but I'm looking forward to today's episode. But Pat McAfee, he brought that energy. He brought that enthusiasm to the product. He was a little different. He was outside the box. He wasn't traditional, but professional wrestling needs that a little bit. And look at the coverage he provided. His audience is much larger, and it was hard to believe, than the WWE's when it comes to his regular broadcasting.
I just think it was a bit of phony energy. It didn't come off as real, didn't come off as genuine. He didn't come off as like a guy that knew a lot per se. Like he was talking, especially when he turned heel, that was brutal. All of his facts were wrong. He thought that Randy Orton wrestled in the Attitude Era. Like he knew nothing. So that totally threw me off. I was like, wow, it's nice when you're a heel and you can kind of play off that, but he was trying to be factual and say stuff, and he was completely dead wrong on a bunch of different topics. So it kind of showed me, okay, he's being a phony, he's a fake, not only as a heel, but when he came off as an announcer, same thing. Like I don't know if he was ever truly a fan or if he never really liked
if he wasn't
it.
A fan,
he came off bad.
Why would he seek out Rip Rogers? Start the training process there. If he wasn't,
don't know.
You know what though? Here's the thing though. I believe he was a fan. Even the heel thing, missing some of those things, being a little over the top, drives home the point. You got to make sure that the people don't like you in today's age, which when we get into UnReal, they kind of talk about what it takes to be a heel, especially when we get into the Gunther stuff there. But yeah, to me, he embodied it well. He was a great ambassador, great for crossover, and just his awareness inside of the world of sport, especially with that crossover with ESPN. I know he said he's done. I think he'll be back. One thing I did want to talk to you about real quick before we hit play here, get going on our kickoff for our UnReal Season 3 review special. Speaking of football, speaking of crossover, Fanatics this past weekend. How about this? WWE in negotiations with QB12. Tom Brady. A lot of celebrity involvement turns fans off here, Poz. What do you think if they could get the GOAT of the NFL, Tom Brady, to participate in some way, some fashion inside the squared circle?
Par for the course for TKO. They love celebrities. They love celebrity involvement. Obviously, he's the most famous football player of all time. He's the best football player of all time. No offense to Pat McAfee. He's a punter, so he's not in that conversation. Being a football player, no offense. But Brady, and you could tell even in the NFL broadcast, he'll bring up wrestling references. So he's an old fan. He knows stuff. He actually liked it. He came out of Fanatics Fest to The Undertaker and came out of the casket. So you could tell he's a big fan. He loves this. And he's doing this stuff with Logan Paul, which is a perfect crossover. I thought they were going to do something at WrestleMania because he owns the Vegas, or part owner of the Vegas Raiders, and they were doing that flag football thing, and Logan Paul was doing the flag football thing. Miz is over there. I thought that would have been an easy connection. Literally, he's got an office at the damn stadium they had WrestleMania. So I don't know why they haven't used him already, but he's definitely coming. I mean, he slapped him in the face and everything else, so he's definitely coming.
Well, I see we got that interaction at Fanatics with him and Logan Paul. On the road to WrestleMania, I know you and I had the conversation, regularly talked about it here on this platform, reminding people, he's got an office in there. He's got part ownership in the team that calls that home. If they push this thing out, though, they could do this in Saudi because Tom Brady has ties in Saudi. He is partnered up with them to kind of help push the flag football agenda over there as well. That I could see the Saudis maybe ponying up to make sure that he gets that extra big payday to be a part of that. For somebody that is so beloved here in the States for the game of American football, said the World Cup in there, but for American football, real football, Would that be a waste? Would it be a shame? Would it turn fans off if they highlighted Tom Brady in Saudi? That's what I'm worried about with this upcoming WrestleMania is, what the direction is, how over the top, and what is going to turn off to the Western fan.
I don't know. There's so many celebrity involvements in WrestleMania every year anyway, and the last couple were, including your boy McAfee, a huge swing and huge miss. Travis Scott was a huge swing and a miss. I feel like if you don't put Brady in the main event, you put him elsewhere, that's fine. Just have your normal celebrity involvement, or just do something with Logan Paul and don't be anywhere near the main event, and that's totally fine. But he'll definitely get eyeballs on the product for sure, I think. And the Saudis will love it. They love Brady.
I know. WWE's going to be worried that it might be boycotted. People are going to turn their back on this one. I can already tell you that there is a serious, lower level of excitement already for me with next year's WrestleMania. And you kept saying there's always been celebrities, but there's never been one outside of North America. And there certainly has never been one in a terrible state like Saudi Arabia.
What about them doing those two shows at Madison Square Garden, the theater at Madison Square Garden? Does that entice you at all? Does that make you happy?
What two shows?
AAA and NXT. There's two separate shows that are coming. Did you not watch the Saturday Night's Main Event? Did you miss that?
I missed that completely. I know that they are
running.
running.
There was a lot of commercials, but that was one of the commercials.
I know they're running. I watched it on a replay. I didn't watch it Saturday night, so I skipped through all those. But I know they are running Worlds Collide, AAA NXT head-to-head against AEW in the same city. I think that's going to be interesting. I'll tell you what, we're
basically the same day that Mania is, though. The same day. Later on in the day at the theater at Madison Square Garden, one night is AAA, then the next night is NXT.
You know what that is? That's already them countering the possibility of Tony Khan trying to run a major wrestling event that same day here in the States.
Or at Madison Square Garden too, yeah.
Right. So that they're trying to do, they're trying to counter that. They cut that off before he could even get to it. Tony Khan, sleeping behind the wheel, missed a huge opportunity unless he goes back to London or something to try to just take that international travel. That should be very interesting. Could be very, very cool. Something to talk to Ben about. Maybe MSG can bring that up this week on the Friday locker room. But all right, let's get ready to pull the curtain back on WWE. Pulling the curtain back. I know we got a couple people in the chat. Hey, real quick. Copy that link. Go to your social. Share it. Let them know where they need to be. Poz and me, the RBV, will be back in 1 minute on the other side. All right, we are officially ready to go here. A 3-part special. It's a joint project here between the two-man power trip, the Hamin Media Group. I'm RBV. He is John Poz. We are set to pull back the curtain on WWE. Pulling back the curtain. It is UnReal Season 3 reviewed. Again, I'd like to welcome in the Hamin Army and what do you guys call yourselves over there, Poz? The two-man power trippians? What's your name for your hardcore followers? What do you have?
The Pozomaniacs.
Of course, the Pozomaniacs. How could I not have seen that one come? The Pozomaniacs running wild. Again, always great when we partner up here between the platforms. I'm looking really forward to this one again. Installment 3, Season 3, WWE UnReal on Netflix. It dropped as we record here Tuesday, July 21st. It dropped at 3 a.m. Eastern time. Poz, how many episodes did you get through already this morning?
I just watched the two that we needed to watch for this review. So I watched episode 1 and 2.
Yes. See, I got up extra early because we were supposed to do this earlier, and then you started whining and crying about how you
Yes.
needed to sleep in, or I don't know, some BS about work and kids and family. I don't know anything about that, so I got up extra early. I'm pretty much done with the entire series, but as Poz said, today we're going to be talking about episodes 1 and 2. We'll come back. We'll hit 3 and 4. Our final special episode, we'll hit episode 5, or our special project here, we'll hit episode 5, and then an overall breakdown about this thing. Poz, before we jump into season 3, episodes 1 and 2, give me your overall thoughts, impressions. I remember when the first episode of season 1 dropped, and I'd asked you then, who is this for? Who is this produced for? Maybe you still feel the same way as you answered back then. Maybe you've evolved with it. Where do you stand that we've got 2 seasons in the books and getting ready to settle into season 3 here for UnReal?
It's definitely still, in my opinion, it's still for the people that can't get enough WWE. It's like the people that, all right, I watch Raw, I watch SmackDown, they watch NXT. That okay, now UnReal. Like they're like the hardcore of the hardcores. They're the obsessed. They got to watch everything WWE puts out there. They're probably in Club WWE for $99. I don't know if that's for a month or for a year, but they're probably
A
in.
year.
Oh, okay, that's not terrible. But isn't it just so you can buy merch?
It's essentially, well, there's some perks with it. So it's like, it's almost like the stadium where you buy like the seat license. So it entitles you to like early options to purchase ticket at certain events and have you get your choice first. Then there is select merch. There's some very exclusive social media content. Again, $99 for the month. Really break.
I was cracking up though. Did you see
change.
that Cena was on there? That he's selling shirts that never were sold, like Philadelphia Cena shirts. So it's basically the cities they thought they were going to that they made merch for, they never went to for. So you're getting like the Super Bowl champions that didn't really win. Like you're like in Africa getting the Patriots jerseys from 07 and the shirts. You know what I mean? Like you're getting like the garbage that they didn't even do, that never even happened. So it's so bad. I was like, that is not a good start for Club WWE.
Hold on, you would think, well, that's his Never Seen 17 collection is what they're
Awful.
releasing there.
Oh,
And you would think that a guy that is so giving, so caring about Make-A-Wish would want to help out and support little league sports teams in third world countries. That could have been the whole Cena league. You could have quote
that's
at least 17 teams out there with that. But overall, my take on this, it still is, if you're one of those hardcores, you're sicko, you're deep in the bubble, about 99% of what's happening here. For me, though, as you mentioned, this is for the hardcore fans. I do kind of like it in a sense. I was thinking about this as I was watching this morning, and I really have only subscribed to Netflix really for 2 things. 2 series. That's WWE and Tires. I like that series. Now, I'll watch other things on Netflix, but those are the things like Netflix became my destination.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
It's a Shane Gillis little like mini-series sitcom thing where
okay.
and his cousin are running a tire store. It's just like slapstick humor. Shane Gillis.
I don't even know if I've seen that on there. Okay.
It's pretty damn good. I enjoy it a lot. So it's had 2 seasons. I think there's a third one coming back. But yeah, that in WWE. So for me, in that sense, I do like it. I can justify a little bit more making that payment for it if I have more WWE content on there. I wish they would have a little more fun making some different content outside of just the regular wrestling shows in that same format, that goes outside the box. And then having been able to cross that line, just kind of dip my toes into the pool of professional wrestling, being able to promote shows, be able to work on shows, to be alongside the talent in a locker room. There's a lot of like fuzzy, warm memories for me that I see when they show some of that backstage stuff. And even if it's campy and cheesy, when the wrestlers are putting over something that, how the profession has affected them personally, I think it could be a little campy in that, but it still speaks to me a little bit. So that aspect of UnReal, I absolutely enjoy. But, there are some other ones. Being a PR media marketing guy, I mean, you know how it is. You can see BS. You can smell BS a mile away, and especially with Triple H is on camera. That's been like one of the running themes, each season. It's some of the things that he says. You just kind of shake your head. You know he's full of it, especially when they're sitting in creative meetings or they're trying to justify why they do something. But I'll give kudos. At least they're making an attempt. They're for the things that, the fans really crap on and say, well, this was our logic here. So I guess that is kind of a neater perspective to it. Let's go ahead and jump into this one. Episode 1, these 2 episodes that we're going to review really focus in on John Cena, the retirement tour. It kind of jumps around going into the first of the year. You know, Cena saying he was more focused during this farewell tour than he's ever been, made it a priority that he wanted to care more about others than he ever had before, and really make sure that on his way up, that legacy was that he gave back and he hyped others up. And I thought it was kind of thing because he says, you know, he never really focused in and thought that way before. And also says that so many others that have come and gone into business have never thought that way before. I did think it was funny, Poz. I'll jump in with this one. You can obviously tell the major mistake they made was turning him heel and how they went about that. And they glossed over the whole Travis Scott Rock deal and all that. I mean, it was just like, maybe like 30 seconds that they touched on it.
That's when as soon as I watched, I was like, oh, let's see how much of the heel stuff and how much they talk about how bad it was. Or even if, let's see, Triple H speak where you could try to like give your answer of why you thought it was great and then talk about how great it was. Man, they didn't do any of that. They literally fast forwarded through the whole thing. So I was like, oh my God, 5 months or whatever, it was 4 months that heel turn. They fast forwarded through it like I'd say 30 seconds to a minute. And like Matt, I was like, wow, they really kind of almost want to make you forget about that. Like almost like that, like you said, glossed over, like it didn't happen. I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, we're not going to talk about how bad that heel turn was? Well, not at all.
Do you think that maybe just outside of not how it went over, because they do kind of talk about that with the fans' reaction to it, did they not just want to, because all of the speculation, the sheets we were talking about on podcasts, is that there was like a power struggle. There was a butting of heads between Triple H and The Rock and maybe some other of the top dogs there inside of TKO. Is that why they just wanted to avoid us, just so that they wouldn't make The Rock look bad, make Triple H look petty, or anybody all around?
Definitely could be. I thought about that. I was like, that's interesting. They only showed The Rock for like 0.5 seconds. So I wonder if that's a part of it. Don't want to piss them off. Want to end up reeling him back in, making him, maybe a main eventer for WrestleMania 43. Let's not add any fuel to the fire. Let's make sure we're on his good side. Maybe that sort of thing. I also think a little bit of the flip side was because it was so bad. Like, okay, this is unreal, but we're controlling the narrative. Let's just fast forward and pretend it didn't happen, because they don't want to be like, oh, our creative sucked. That's why. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to admit it because the show literally is about how the creative is great and they're having all these great ideas.
Right, how they're an events and experience company, and these masterminds that are bringing you this amazing product. So the show starts off here, and I do like how the format of this. You kind of get that major point with Cena, then they circle back around at it at the end of the show, but heavily they kind of share the experience exchange with Cena and Logan Paul, which I think for any new fans, obviously a lot of people know who Logan Paul is. We were talking on the pre-roll about Pat McAfee and that crossover audience, but to me too, it showcases how bright of a future that they believe Logan Paul, and I think so many of us do, that Logan Paul has in professional wrestling. We talked about the why on the turn and Cena trying to justify it. The goal there was to ruin wrestling, to take away the fun, to get the fans to think F you. No pun intended to the old move, to bring that back, but F you, to slow down the matches, to have people just like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen, but hopefully tune back in to see what was going to happen next with it. Do you have any memory like going back? Because you and I had plenty of conversations about the style and slowing it down. I know you were a fan of some of it. You didn't like some of the matchups as well. Obviously, yes, that heel turn freaking backfires. How do you remember those matches now during the heel turn?
Some of them were actually pretty good. From when I remember, it's obviously the Cody WrestleMania match was awful. Literally one of the worst main events like ever. And I know he was saying, oh, he initially wanted to do a count out finish to make it even worse, like, and ruin wrestling. It's like, you could tell he wasn't in shape at that point either. So I feel like that's an excuse to throw on there, because he wasn't, you could tell he's slowly getting into great shape. And by SummerSlam, he's in awesome shape, and he has an awesome match with Cody. Then he has an awesome match with AJ. He has a great match with Logan Paul. So it's like, he wouldn't admit it, but he like slowly but surely was getting into wrestling shape, because God, he was basically a part-timer for 4 years, and he jumped back in. You could tell Royal Rumble, he was slow. Elimination Chamber, he was slow. No knocking him. That's fine.
Well, and in those matches, you can kind of protect you because there's so many other competitors inside of the ring.
But I even like the Orton match. I liked it, but it was very slow. I heard people were complaining, oh, it was a little too slow, a little bit too much interference. But I liked that match. The Punk match was fine. I thought he was good. The R-Truth match was good. It was short, so it was perfectly fine. He obviously beats him in 5 minutes. So I thought actual wrestling wise, he was doing okay. And Lesnar was kind of a squash, but I thought he was doing okay. And I kind of liked some of those matches all the way through. I actually thought they were pretty good, almost better than his like regular, a prime run when he was just Super Cena killing everybody.
See, and I like the heel matches. I thought like the program seemed so rushed. I understand we've only got, they went from not only do you have a year, but they were like planning on what 30 something, 40 something dates, and then they slashed that in half.
Yeah.
So it's the business decision forced creative to rush, which really hurt the product, hurt what we'll remember from it. Another
crazy
thing
though, when you think about that though, with Cena, if he says to give more dates, wouldn't you just give him more dates? Like that was odd.
I think though, and save that thought for a second here because I want to we wrap up the Cena stuff. There's something I want to ask you about that, but also on this. So we talk about the heel run, and then the sudden baby face turn where he just comes out and does it in a promo.
Yeah, New Jersey. Yeah,
yeah, on a SmackDown right before SummerSlam. So they give the explanation as this: the Cody match at SummerSlam was supposed to make up for the poor outing at WrestleMania.
Yes.
And it was supposed to be that Cody beats the conviction, the passion, the John Cena that we all have known for all these decades back into him. But Cena says, before we could get to Cody, the crowd changed the booking. And one of the things that he says in episode 1 here is the audience is the show. I wrote in my notes, stop fucking saying that. The audience should not think that they're the show. They can be a big part of it. They're the ones that are going to ooh and ah and cheer and boo and get excited. Tune in each and every week. Pack stadiums. But stop letting the marks think that they are the stars. Stop saying this.
I can't believe that you haven't mentioned his whispering voice. Have you not picked up on that or noticed that? The Cena whisper? Like when he's trying to say something important, he kind of whispers. The audience is the show. Like just the way he says it, I think is so funny. I'm like, he's almost like acting like he's whispering and telling you something you shouldn't know.
Got Jimmy T in the house. He's waiting around for this weekend at WWE as well. We'll get some of his. I don't know if he's got to watch this yet, so he's probably getting it from us here. So we'll get some of these matches, and they're jumping around. Some of them that really jump out to me here is you would mention WrestlePalooza. We see Cena rehearsing with the kids on the entrance beforehand there. I thought that was kind of neat. That's one of those special touches that remind you of what's so unique about professional wrestling and how it can, touch an audience like that. Not saying those kids need to be the show, but it was cool in a memory that they're going to have forever and hopefully be lifelong fans like we are because of something like that. But they talk about the Brock Lesnar match. And that was interesting there is they're talking about the greatest hits thing, hitting the big time rivals, revisiting them, and Cena saying that that was designed for him to get smashed like that. Going back and kind of a tribute to when that happened at SummerSlam a couple years ago, when it was just that's where Suplex City was born.
Yep.
But that was to re-energize, revive a stagnant Brock Lesnar who had been putting some people over to start gearing him back up now for this current run that he's on. What'd you think about that?
That's exactly in like booking sense. That's exactly what you want to do. Cena's right because he said, I'm not going to be here in 2 months. Lesnar's going to be, putting over, he didn't know Obafemi, but like the next guy, if you will, or wrestling the next guy. How do you build him up if I'm beating him and then I'm on the way out? So I thought that was good booking. I know people went nuts about it. I thought that was great. And even like losing to Dominic Mysterio too. Like I thought that made sense because you're building up the next guy. And he calls it passing the energy, which I've never heard ever in my life. I thought that was an interesting thing. He's passing the energy on. He's passing the energy on. But in essence, he's making a good point. That's exactly what he was doing. Did RBV freeze here? Where is RBV right now? Where is RBV? Oh, let's see what's going on. RBV, are you frozen? He lost power. RBV lost power. Okay. Up, Jimmy T saying, "Oh no." He said RBV's full of it. No, he really did. He lost power. Believe it or not. He's getting reset here. Just throwing this out there, since RBV is getting reset. He was talking about Lesnar. I thought it was a good idea. I saw a lot of people were not happy that Lesnar beat Cena, and obviously not happy Dominic won, and obviously not happy that Gunther won. I'm sure we'll get into that with RBV. But I actually liked all of it because he's losing, he's moving on, he's not going to be wrestling anymore. He's going into retirement. He's going back to Hollywood. So why not just keep losing on the way and kind of giving he doesn't like a loss to him doesn't hurt, I don't think. So why not lose and put the next guy over? And then hopefully in the future, Gunther's a star, Dominic's a star, and hopefully Lesnar can create that next star who's going to be Oba Femi. So I liked it. I thought it was good. I saw a lot of complaints, and I even saw obviously Cena a documentary talking about how he thought that was his idea and that was a great idea. Triple H agreed with him, and he thought that was the way to go. So um, Jimmy T is saying, I would join Poz, but here's the problem. I haven't watched Unreal yet. So Jimmy T out there in Australia hasn't watched the show yet. Even though he's 12 hours ahead, he still hasn't watched the show yet. What do you think about that?
I'm on my way here, bud. I just had to do a restart. If the internet picks back up, it just went like pitch black outside. We were expecting storms, but I wasn't expecting them to hit like this.
Hopefully Jimmy T heard that he's has a storm he's claiming, and that his power went out, and that he's coming back in.
Here we go. So they talk about the Lesnar one. Oz, tell them about how the fans, again, they're listening to fans. They're saying the fans are the show. I thought it was pretty unique how the fans, it was supposed to be Drew McIntyre next, but because of the audience and their outpour, it became AJ Styles.
Now, that's an interesting point because I've heard that. I don't know if that's necessarily 100% true that it's supposed to be Drew versus Cena next, and obviously Drew probably would beat Cena there. Instead, they threw the curveball, and on the show, they've made it out to be, oh, Cena wanted to put the power in the audience's hands. Again, that another wording of Cena basically trying to say, like, oh, the audience is all the power, that it's all about the audience, to almost giving the fans too much credence. Obviously, it's a work. Triple H is throwing it out there. I think Cena, AJ was the plan all along because Cena, that was on his wanted list, is probably his greatest opponent in ring. Definitely his best matches were against AJ Styles, no doubt about that. And I think Cena wanted to run it back one more time. I know AJ Styles wanted to run it back one more time, and that was definitely on Cena's bucket list. Like Lesnar was on his bucket list. Obviously, putting over Cody was on the bucket list. They were going through all the guys that were on his bucket list of guys to put over. And boom, I think AJ Styles was definitely on that list. So that's why I think it was a part of that match. I don't really believe the Drew stuff. I mean, I guess technically it could have been thrown out there as an idea. I just always thought AJ Styles was the plan. It's just interesting, though, that the way that they did it, he tweets like, hey, AJ, let's do it. Like, no real build up. Cena wasn't on the show to build it up. So that was the only caveat or like the curveball they threw in there that I didn't think was good as far as building it up. Oh, hey, I'll just throw it out there online. Hey, do you agree? AJ says, yeah, I agree on Twitter. The fans say they agree. Triple H jumps in and he says he agrees. So he makes the match. I just thought that was a little bit of a weak way to kind of get there. And Cena's obsessed with the why of why they want to do it. And that didn't really represent the why. Obviously, episode of number 1 was called that too. But I just feel like it kind of fell short of build up. They could have built it up a little bit better. But I know Cena only had a certain amount of dates. He necessarily wasn't going to be there beforehand. And I guess we could just build it up through social media.
Talk a little bit about Poz, about the match itself and how it became a love letter to the fans. You know, they were doing all them call outs between both of them. They even did a couple of them on the fly, like the RKO was because of the crowd started chanting it. They were going to go through a 619, but Cena knew he couldn't pull it off, so they teased it. So, I mean, that was a lot of crowd influence.
That was pretty cool. Just I like that love letter wrestling. I thought the match was great. Obviously, those two always had great chemistry. They almost want whoever's watching, as far as like they were the boys, the workers, if you will, to see like how they can kind of pop them. Like, oh, we'll do this move, we'll do that move. Obviously, AJ breaks out, Samoa Joe, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, a bunch of moves from his guys at TNA. John Cena breaks out a bunch of WWE guy moves, and obviously Undertaker was one of them. Edge, then the RKO, which is funny. He said initially wasn't a part of the plan, but the crowd was chanting for it, and he knew he could pull it off, so he did the RKO. I thought that was kind of a cool little hat tip to the fans there. A cool little, obviously, hat tip to Randy Orton as well, who they both feuded with for a while, and obviously one of Cena's big-time opponents that they had a million matches with, maybe too many matches with. We're talking about hundreds of matches together, every stipulation possible, but that was cool throw in there. I do love that they were chanting 619, thinking Cena could pull it off. He knew he didn't, so he yells for AJ to cut him off and hit him with the clothesline. So that was well done. I like that. That was cool. Definitely crowd participation is good, and if it definitely helps. So I liked it. I liked that match. I thought that was cool. I thought that was well done. I feel like their chemistry is unbelievable. I do feel like they've had some of their best matches against each other. So that was kind of, to me, just a slam dunk as far as, hey, let's do a love letter to wrestling. But hey, we have awesome chemistry. You can kind of do whatever we want out here, and the crowd is going to eat it up.
Hey, shoot me the link to that room. So I'm just going to try to go from my phone here, because it just keeps going in and out on me here.
Jimmy T wants in as well, believe it or not. He was saying, look at that. What do you feel about that?
It helps there. It literally, my power is real flashing, like on and off. I've got it back here, but I have no internet. Have Jimmy or somebody send me a link, and I'll just go to my phone real quick.
Very interesting, though. You have no power, but yet perfect weather. Kind of interesting.
I do not have perfect weather.
Oh, no, it's not good.
It is like here, and you can hear the thunder rolling in.
Really? In Cincinnati, are you sure? I'm seeing good weather here on the weather advisory for Cincinnati. Let's send you a link.
Send me that link. I'll hop on for that.
I texted you the link, and Jimmy T. I texted Jimmy T as well.
Well, he has access. He can just come in.
Let's see how you can do this. Let's see how you can get in. I can't believe.
I'll be able to from here. Let's see what we got.
Oh, Jimmy T sent you the link. Look at this.
I got it. Oh shit! There's Jimmy hop. There's Jimmy to hop on it, because I need someone to add me to the fucking screen.
Oh, he can't be added to the screen. How is that possible? Jimmy T. Rich is saying he can't be added to the screen. Come on. Yes, you can. Come on, Rich.
Because I don't have access from my phone, but now I got the damn. It's all for someone. Can you hear an echo on me?
An echo? No, not really.
Hold on, I got internet now. I'll be there in a second.
Yep.
Talking about bronze fishing line breaker.
Yeah, I was going to say, Cena's talking about, which I thought was obviously great production by WWE, the way that they do these things, but he's talking about we got to start building up the next guy. The next thing you know, we're learning all about Braun Breaker and his history. We know he's a Steiner, and we get the Triple H explanation of why he's not a Steiner in WWE. He wants him to be one of one. He doesn't want him to be the next Steiner. He wants him to be the first Braun Breaker. I still don't think that's a good excuse of why he couldn't just have been Bronson Steiner, or whatever you want to call it, but make him a Steiner instead of Breaker. Still not an excuse, but that's Triple H again with the double speak of him trying to make everything seem like it's okay, and that's like the way to go, and that his way is the right way. And I necessarily don't agree with that, but I thought it was cool. You get the backstory of him. Obviously, fans know, but people that are maybe more of casual fans might not know his history. Was in the NFL, was a part of the Baltimore Ravens, was a really good player in college. Oh, RBV, is he back? Oh my God, he might be back.
Yeah,
he's back.
We are back. We are here ready to go.
No video though.
So yes,
I don't see RBV on the video. Oddly enough,
well, I can hear. But we're talking about there about Braun breaking line or fishing line breaker. I thought it was kind of cool. He's out there spending his time. That's kind of where he finds himself. You mentioned there one of the things I did not agree with here. This is they wanted to define himself, and he compares it like Roman Reigns further than but here continuously play to their family ties. We have a whole faction that has a program for the last 5 years called the Bloodline. And it just pretend like he's not a Steiner, except for occasionally mentioning it. So there's a huge difference there to me.
That's one thing I just don't. I just thought like Braun Breaker's such a silly name that he should just been Rick or Rex Steiner, if you will. That was the original name. That would have been cool. Braun Steiner, whatever. He should have just been a Steiner. It just doesn't make any sense. I know he's Roman Reigns and he's not technically, Sika Jr. or whatever. So just to me, I don't like it. It's kind of silly, but I did like that. He's a fisher, just getting some outside of wrestling stuff, what he's into, obviously football, fishing, relaxing and stuff, and then realizing that he's getting a big push. He's getting a nice little push from Seth Rollins backstage as well. So I like the Braun Breaker stuff. I think it's good. I just realized that he's not really getting that big push anymore right now. It seems like he's kind of floating.
Well, I had this in my notes. Gets that injury, has that big run-in moment at WrestleMania, that cool visual where he's, I think they're relying too much on this speed thing. That was all they were talking about. That's so he's been stripped down from what makes him a superstar. He's simply running in a move now.
Plus you. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they've not gotten cold on him, but I feel like they haven't been pushing him the way they kind of originally were going to push him, because there was a rumor that he was going to be in the main event of WrestleMania, maybe win the title there. They obviously changed that. He does the Netflix 1-year anniversary main event against CM Punk for the title. So I don't know. Maybe they did that maybe on purpose. They're cooling on him. They're kind of softening on him for whatever reason. They're giving Oba the big push instead of him.
It'd be interesting to see if they go back and kind of re-examine that with Braun. He got a little segment there again, putting over Seth, talking about how he's still learning and really just trying to sell us why he's not a Steiner, which I completely do not buy at all. We do get CM Punk. He's talking about Seth cashing in Money in the Bank in Paris, but that's really a transition that starts setting up a few segments about the couples taking each other on in the mixed tag match. Of course, Rollins and Bex, Seth and Bex, CM Punk, and the return of his wife after a decade plus or whatever, something like that, of AJ Lee. One of the things I thought it was kind of cool to see Bobby Roode at Gorilla calling for the production of Becky unmasking. I thought that was kind of cool. Then we get the stuff with Becky slapping the crap out of Punk. I remember going back then, the night after Paris, like they should have been planning ahead. When she unmasked on that Sunday, they should have had footage if she wasn't already there hiding, like a couple countries over something. I thought they missed something having her debut that night after, just to have the intensity. Like, oh, no, you didn't. I'll go halfway around the world to defend my man. But I do understand why they waited that week, because they know that they're going to get that Chicago pop no matter what, even if a lot of the audience has forgotten about her because she hadn't been around for so long.
Yeah, definitely. They love that hometown pop. They definitely were doing it for the Chicago pop, no doubt about it. With that, though, I like interested in that story. The stuff with the dog with Larry obviously was really interesting, because they didn't really talk about that too much, on TV, obviously. But I thought they might mention it. Somebody might mention it. Nobody mentioned it on TV. Not even Drew McIntyre never even mentioned it. I thought he might take a low blow and mention it. So I thought there was some cool stuff there. Her return, like them talking about that, basically her kind of behind the scenes story was kind of cool. So that I wasn't really interested going in, because I knew they were going into it, and that really wasn't a story that interested me. But watching the show, I think it made it more interesting.
The program itself didn't hit for me at all. You could tell that the ring rust was there. They were trying with I remember their promos were so god awful.
Yeah,
they
Becky's
were
a tough watch.
Even AJ at this, especially when they were trying to carry a long segment outside the match. I thought if you only had seen the match package that they put together on Reel, you're like, man, this was epic. But I remember actually watching that match. And it was
they
so
edited
long,
it pretty well,
so drawn out, and it was terrible. What the other, a heartwarming moment there of how Punk calls her apes. Your boy Bret Hart working on that book with it. He sent the text message that says "How's," and he just sent a gorilla emoji, and that kind of popped people because she's such a big fan of his. AJ, excuse me. Speaking of Larry, the only thing I would have liked to see maybe on UnReal is go the extra step to let people know about how they can adopt a pet. Maybe like a QR code or who they use. I would have liked to see a little more detail to help the adoption agencies, because it would seem so important, and how they found their kid and obviously completed their family with having Larry in it.
Poz, is it Poz Chicago? I think I've heard them talk about it, not on air. I've heard them talk about it off air.
Punk puts over there. She had in 15 minutes over 1 million social views upon her return. A big time moment there. In Chicago. Of course, like you said, though, this was really AJ talking about coming back to finish what she felt that she started, fighting for women's wrestling back then, to get those opportunities to have big matches. Never got to go through a table. She got to experience that. but more so than just the bell to bell, that she felt that she'd seen now the strides being made where she felt that she was signing a contract equal to that of her husband's. Obviously, might not be the exact financial number, but for the return on investment, that she felt that she was being respected for her time being given and her star power, if you will. She felt very justified and only signed that deal 30 minutes before she made her return.
Kind of crazy with that too, and the fact that she kind of just going through Triple H. You would think Punk was setting that whole thing up, you know?
Well, you got to go through the boss, right? He's the guy that signs on the other side of the contract. Well, I know they're coming with TKO, but you got to have him on there. Episode ends with Seth injuring himself at Crown Jewel. This is the teaser that goes into the next episode here, but H is out there, Triple H out there putting the Crown Jewel Championship on him. And he's, how bad is it? And Seth just replies, I'm effed. It's back to the
too. If you're a mouth reader, you saw that pretty easily.
I was going to say that it's back to the drawing board. Back to the drawing board for creative. This is right there at the end of the year, getting ready for the new season, into the Rumble, into WrestleMania. That's where we leave off episode 1. All right, Pops, let's go ahead, jump in here. Episode 2, titled The Last Time Is Now. And this is really about that farewell, that home stretch for John Cena. It even opens up there with that graphic. John Cena has 2 matches remaining. We look at those there, but they also do a callback in a personal relationship. They go back to CM Punk versus John Cena, which happened earlier in the year, and it was actually where was that one? Neither here or there, but they talk about the doctor of thugonomics.
Saudi Arabia, by the way.
Is that where it was? Okay,
yeah, it was in Saudi.
Yeah, you're right, because that's where Punk got a lot of shit for going back over there to work.
But
real quick.
Not anything from Cena. Cena said that was one of the greatest moments he's ever seen in his career and one of his favorite parts of his comeback. What a weird comment. Not on this show. He said that in an interview. I thought that was a really weird comment.
Well, they obviously, because they do, I think a lot of people outside of the match remember the promo leading up to it where Punk did the throwback to the thugonomics. We had the Punkonomics.
Yes.
And Cena talks on UnReal about, man, I thought he was going to go way overboard with his lines. It's a lot to remember. But he says Punk goes out there and crushes it. He rocked it. But there was a very personal moment in there that they slow down, and you can hear where Punk drops the microphone and says, I'm going to miss you. So they have a personal moment. Punk calls Cena his wrestling soulmate. So for them to go out there and have that little dance obviously meant a lot to him there. Pause. We then in the story, we open up that Cena thing. We're going to come back to Cena. So now we get some segments where we remember the Seth Rollins injury, and we talk about the pivot for the Vision to turn on Seth. And after the injury, Seth's going to go out there and do that one more spot on television to kind of give the story some meaning, somewhere to go forward. He tells Breaker, he knows he's going to get that spear. This is going to be my last bump for months. Lay it in there. And Breaker did lay it in there. He rocked him on that thing.
That is great to hear and see, because so many guys, I feel like even Gunther with Nick Aldis was like a little bit light with him. I feel like the guy almost has to tell you, like, dude, lay your shit in. I thought that was great that Rollins said that, and I thought that was great that Hamin said that, because it's got to look good. They're going to replay this thing a lot. Like, it's got to look really good. So I thought that was awesome that they both said that, and they both, like, even Rollins, like, almost like giving to himself, like giving of himself, saying, hey, you better kill me with this.
Well, he said, he felt like afterwards that Braun speared his body off his head where it should have been the other way around. That's how hard he hit him with it. So now they've got, with creative, they have the difficult decision of where to go. Who is going to be the next champion? Sound like maybe they had some discussions, but seems like everybody kind of unanimously was like, we need a known guy, someone we can trust to carry this brand. It's great for PR. They decide to go with Punk. Real quick, Poz, I got a feeling you agree with that, but who would maybe if you had pivoted to, like, you wanted a fresh face or somebody else there?
You could have literally just put it right on Breaker, because he literally, after he beats Rollins, he takes the title and puts it over his shoulder. You could almost go in that direction if you wanted to and anoint a new star. I just don't know if that was the right point if you want this guy to be a huge star in the future. It's almost like you're giving him too much too soon. Rather just give it to the veteran. Let's see what Punk does. We have way more options. I think everybody on the creative team said the same thing. We have so many more options. If he's the champ, we can go Uso, we can go Breaker, we can go here, we can go there. Like, you have way more options with Punk, who literally can wrestle with everybody. Doesn't need to be a guy like that needs all this stuff to him, because Breaker's still green a bit in WWE. He would need a lot under him to be champion. You kind of have to keep feeding him. Punk's already at that level. You don't need to do all that nonsense. He's already believable as the champion.
With Punk, another running theme, is he's talking and interacting with so many individuals in the back, and we see some of the kids in NXT that's gone Papa Punk. Is it just his new attitude? I mean, you go back, he always had a bad rep in the locker room with the boys. The ladies always loved him. He's always had some hot looking girls that he stated throughout it. Is he changed now? What is all more importantly, so with that bad attitude backstage that we knew about, what's it always been that's made Punk so special to connect with an audience? Because these crowds have always loved him. Is it just that he kind of is them, that he's that scrappy, the guy that never should have been there? Because he talks about that on the show.
He's like an everyday guy, kind of, you know what I mean? He's one of us, that type of thing. He's like, he literally the Punk or whatever, you know what I mean? Like punk rock. He fits them. He is them. There's no doubt about it. Definitely hated backstage by a lot of guys. But if you notice, not by the bigger names, by kind of other people, you know what I mean? Like Cena always liked him. Samoa Joe always liked him. AJ Styles always liked him. So it definitely depends on the guy. Cody always liked him.
No, those guys go, way back to OVW. But obviously, one of the main guys that he didn't get along with, Triple H, reason that he walked for so long and was absent from the ring. But still, all those years, people talked about him. He was relevant in the business.
Yeah. How crazy is that? He's literally cult following. Yeah.
So we earlier in the show, or in the season there, this episode here, we got to meet Fisherman Braun Breaker.
Mm-hmm.
How about Farmer Liv? How about EIEIEO Skyo? I thought it was kind of fitting because
that was interesting. I didn't know that about Liv. That's kind of interesting. Yes. Definitely not what I expected. But still, I feel like with her, obviously, the looks aside, everybody looks at her, you think she's probably one of the most beautiful women in WWE. Like, this girl's a star. But her attitude is very good. Like, I was like, man, she's just like perfect for wrestling and to be a star. She gets it.
I got this right here. I've been saying regularly since I've been exclusively covering WWE for the HMG, if it be the SmackTack, if it be this week in WWE, all the pay-per-view specials for over a year and a half, 2 years. I've just been raving, singing the praises of Liv Morgan about how we've watched her go from a girl in this business to a woman, how she has evolved her entire game for a stretch. She just wasn't the all-star of the women's division. She was one of the all-stars of the entire company. And I think she is so good, continues to that. She continues to evolve. She knows her character, her body language, her moveset, everything is there. Her storytelling. As you said, though, I learned a few things here, right here in my notes, right at the top. This chick is freaking awesome. I loved her attitude. I love how she talks. She's out there dropping them F-bombs. Yep. I popped when the Hornets freaked her out, when she was sitting there for the interview, and the Hornets
she's
came
a nut.
in.
Yeah, yep.
I knew she had worked at Hooters, but she did inform. She did remind us that Hooters, yes, is a family restaurant. Kids eat free on Tuesdays.
Yes,
I didn't know that she dropped out of high school. It was that through Hooters that she happened to have a chance meeting that got her an opportunity to try out for WWE. Gets this opportunity, 11 years with the company, and she's thriving right now. And it is great that they see her as one of the top individuals. They introduce us to Liv, her backstory there, to set up some conversation. Cena's second to last match. It's Cena, the IC champion, versus Dirty Dom. I remember watching this one here, and Cena says he wanted to get as many people as involved as possible. So he gets all the Judgment Day, especially the girls. He wanted them to have a moment to shine. I remember being furious at the moment that Cena went out there and took a Pop Rocks. But now that I think about it and I watched this back, that really wasn't for us, the fans. Cena didn't worry about hurting his rep or legacy. That was to create a memory for a very gifted, very talented Roxy Perez, to help her, something that she'll remember and energize and fuel her hunger to continue her career. I mean, truly a great. And sometimes you need those little Easter eggs, those moments for the boys and girls.
Totally agree. And obviously they all were so into the match. They all got to play a part, whether it was Raquel, Roxanne, Finn, JD, obviously Liv and Dom, but everybody got to play a part. He said he loved that. So good on him and good on the creative, because that was a pretty well booked finish, and obviously the crowd was into it 100%.
Absolutely. The big moment there for Liv and her return. We saw a couple big returns here. There's big moments and the nervousness from the talents before they get to go back out there. That's another part of the aspect of this I like, is that moment right there at Grill before you go through the curtain. I love how they're doing some of those camera shots. And that's what I was talking about. That gives me that feeling of, on a much smaller scale for indie, but in that promotion, or if I'm announcing, and you get to feel that real energy from indie talents that are so passionate about what they do with this.
And Liv, obviously, she was antsy, if you will, to get out there and re-debut, if you will. It was her big return. So that was well done. I always love the camera shot too, because you get the behind the scenes of them about to walk out, and then you show the entrance, like just easy little things that they do in their production. I just love the way they edit and piece it together.
We go into Cena's last match. We all know that's against Gunther. We have the Cena Invitational Tournament. Gunther earns that opportunity. I did like the moment where they're talking ringside to Gunther about what this means, man. This is something he's doing special for you. Make the most of this moment. Gunther being respectful. He's like, hey, I get that, but we got to do it proper. We got to make sure this is done right. Going into this thing, is Cena. He pitches. He was the one that pitches. Hey, I got mine. He says, I got my opportunity on a chance. Someone didn't show up. They needed someone to go out there, and Kurt Angle helped me out. Made me in a night there. Introduced me to the wider audience. He wanted to do that. Cena's idea for the NXT Spotlight concept. What did you think about it at that time? And to me, it was just like, okay, this is a novelty show. But for those young stars to have that moment where we're tuning in for Cena. Cena also says, Poz, you can add this into that. Everyone's like, oh, he's got to end it at WrestleMania. And Cena's like, why? Let's do this in Q4. Let's make it extra special. Let's try to boost revenue here. Looking at that from that angle, I thought it was a brilliant move to keep it away from WrestleMania.
Well, I guess he wasn't contractually there for Mania in a weird, like, wrestling wise. I guess maybe he had his date set and that's what it was, and that's what it landed on.
They added the Cena WrestleMania host thing later, but they could have negotiated going from like a WrestleMania to a WrestleMania instead of just a calendar year. So Cena's pitch was Q4 struggles. Let's do a big show in December where we see numbers just on a serious decline.
Right.
Okay. They're going to come for Cena's match. But it's that philosophy that Hamin always used in ECW. When he had like Snooker or Funk or somebody, they're going to come for the name, but I'm going to show them all these other incredible characters and get them hooked to keep coming back.
Right. So you put the Obas on and the young guys, yeah, for sure. I thought that, I don't know, to me, I thought that was well done, though, with Gunther winning and Cena going out the way he did. I liked it, and he kind of funnily or oddly says that they killed off his character, and that's the death of the character. I was like, whoa, okay. But I just everything lining up. Obviously, it was big money. It was Cena's last show. They charged arm and leg for the tickets. So they did well on merch. They did well on tickets. The only thing was you left the crowd a little unhappy at the end.
I like the concept. I know we're all waiting now for an announcement of what this John Cena specialty show is supposed to be. Jimmy T and I talked about this on this.
Might not happen, by the way. Might not be happening.
I would love to have an idea here where you do go into December, try to get around at holidays where maybe families can travel, pick a destination, a nice destination that's warm that they can look forward to. It has to be affordable, nothing like WrestleMania ticket prices, but have a festival of wrestling. Have a bunch of other interactive things going on, like we show they had it at the Fanatic Fest. Mm-hmm. Call it John Cena's WWE All-Star Weekend. And you can do something like this to promote, to push business into December. Cheap as hell. Invite families to travel down. Super interactive. And it's Cena introducing the next wave of stars. And you have a few dream matches and things like that. I love that concept. I did pop for this. More BS from Triple H in this thing. John's always been that all-American boy with DC sounded real fitting. No, BS here, H. DC outbid and stole this show from Boston, which would have been the most fitting place for this.
Yes, thing. That was kind of funny to me because obviously this is UnReal, right? if you're going to be real and this is unreal, wouldn't you just be honest and just not even bring that up? Like, oh yeah, the great. They literally, and everyone knows it was reported. They paid more money for it. Like, that's, I mean, it's black and white.
That's one of those weird things, it's just like, come on, that's a little too much. You had mentioned there the killing of his character.
Yeah.
And John even said in there, he said, the sweetest part about death is being surrounded by your loved ones. I get where he's coming there from that on that, but you look at the fan backlash. You look at how they acted towards the heel turn. They wanted their John Cena. For the guy that we bitched about for decades, we finally were ready to ride along one more time to celebrate all that he's done at professional wrestling, all that he's given back to it. And I felt like we didn't want our hero to die. We want legends to live forever. And I'm not saying he should have won, but to come out there with the mindset you're killing John Cena, the wrestler, so he could transition into whatever the hell he is now, the suit wearing John Cena, it's out of the jorts. We wanted something he could have lost. I thought that was the absolute right call in this case, especially for somebody like Gunther.
Definitely.
We just, and the tap out was so cheesy too. The look into the camera, that he's kind of grinning during it.
You can tell creatively he's not like somebody who's whoever the producer. He's not a good creative person where it's like coming up with finishes and stuff. Like if you watch Unreal last season, CM Punk literally lays out the whole elimination chamber and everyone's like, oh my God, this guy's like a genius. The way he laid out the freaking match. And Cena's like, that's awesome. We're doing it. Cena's not the idea guy. Like for him to come up with the idea, someone's got to like Triple H or Bobby Roode's going to go, no, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. Like someone needed to tell him that's not a good idea, but nobody would tell him that wasn't a good idea. So that's what they went with over everybody's head. Nobody got that reference whatsoever.
It is funny because you had mentioned CM Punk and his creative. Even Cody's like, "Damn, Punk beat me to that."
Yeah,
your boy, the Hulkster. He gets a shout out in this episode because Punk said someone happened to send him a video of Cena and Batista with their belts back in the day, and they put those on Hogan's shoulders, and they had such a great moment there. So Punk was like, so many of the boys and girls wanted to experience as fans. They're out in the audience watching the match, but in the post party afterwards, the celebration in the ring, it's Punk who has the idea for him and Cody to put their championship belts on Cena for that great image there.
I thought that was cool.
Before we get to some closing thoughts here on Cena and his retirement tour, Gunther goes over there. He gets AJ Styles a couple months later. We also learned in here during the AJ Styles segment, when I was out there, that they knew it sounded like they knew AJ was going. Some people in the business knew. That's why they said, let's go out there and write this love letter to the fans.
Yep.
After that match with AJ, you get Cena here, you get AJ, and then it's like they didn't have a direction for Gunther at WrestleMania. I know everybody was screaming, retire Rey Mysterio, but I kept saying, like, maybe Rey doesn't want to retire. That was my only problem with the retirement gimmick is literally you got to run out of people to get rid of. And I even had to look up who Gunther faced at WrestleMania 42 because I completely spaced
Rollins.
They threw together the match with Rollins like a week beforehand. Do you think that was it? I mean, and seemingly ever since these two matches with Gunther, they have had trouble finding direction with him.
Here's the problem. You got to think, like Triple H said in the damn documentary, you got to think forward or you're already behind. They had him beating Cena. They didn't think of anything forward. They're already behind. Like you're already playing catch up. Oh, let's bring Nick Aldis out of retirement to wrestle. Like you're already, let's have Rollins come out of injury to wrestle. Like you're already behind the 8 ball. You had the monster here. You have to set him up properly. You have to set him up in the right direction. Same thing happened after Cody beat Roman Reigns at the Bloodline. Okay. Now what? That was awesome. That was a great moment. Now what? They had no forethought and no thought going forward. Gunther's the right guy. I do think he's a great heel. Literally was just at a house show. He was by far the most booed. He got booed out of the building. Most heel heat by far on the show. So I still think he's a great heel. I think he's a great monster heel. Still think it's the right choice. It's just the creative. You have to think forward of what are we going to do with this guy? Like, man, they're just behind the 8 ball. And even with Cody beating Roman, like, okay, now we're going to do with him. Oh, let's have a feud with Solo Sikoa. It's like, why isn't The Rock lined up? Or why are we lined up here? The Roman rematch. Like, what? Why isn't all this stuff lined up?
You're constantly talking about that. And it just seems like these guys only book like 2 weeks at a time. Like they can't even get from like month to month with a big event.
And he said it. He's like, "Oh, we got to be ahead or we're behind." Well, you're behind, and you're way behind. Yeah,
You're way behind.
Yeah.
Just two last thoughts here on Cena before we get out of here. Pause. Looking at this now, how would you rate the Cena retirement tour?
Yeah, I wouldn't say F or anything, but I wouldn't say A. I don't know, C. I guess it was okay. I some of the matches I liked, so I'll give it a C.
I will say that I coming around. I think, watching it from, just this side of it, not hearing some of the inside perspective, hearing from Cena himself, I would have probably said a D. But seeing some of the logic with it, I'll give it like a CC plus, because it seems like they accomplished some of the things they wanted. As you said, though, they cut their legs out from under by cutting dates. We didn't really get the full vision of it. Everything was rushed. So it just did not make sense.
Yep.
And I felt like there was, even at the end there, even the tap out, the killing of the character was lackluster to me. I just hope
and nobody got it. Literally, nobody got it until he mentioned it now. Nobody understood what the hell happened or what he was doing or what he was talking about.
Listen to the audience. He would see us saying they are the show. Listen to the audience. Well, obviously, you didn't listen to the audience. Or you didn't understand what they wanted. Pause before we get out of here, brother. What is John Cena's greatest moment in professional wrestling?
Ooh.
I'll go first here for you then, because I got one here.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, when it comes to listening to an audience, being able to adjust when you're not being fed the golden boy treatment, I'm going to say it was ECW One Night Stand when that crowd just freaking turned on him. They gave him a warning. They said, brother, you're going to expect it, but it was the unexpected. No way he saw that coming. I thought he played that beautifully.
I'll just put almost like a thing on his whole career. Like, he went through the Super Cena stuff. He just killed everybody. But at a certain point, I feel like it was great that he literally was just like kind of putting everybody over, put AJ over like 5 times, put Punk over like 10 times. Like, once he got to a certain point where he's at a certain level, he didn't care about putting guys over. So I'll say that, like, as far as like top guys putting guys over, he's way up on the list. And even like obviously the Rock in his career, I feel like when he shouldn't have been putting everybody over in the Attitude Era, he was losing too much, but it didn't hurt him. He was Teflon. Cena kind of understood that too. So I'll give Cena props. For like a top star, he put over a lot of guys, maybe too many.
Yeah. Well, he did seem grateful for it. He wanted to get back. He had a long, great career. So many, many different developments. He led international expansion. He's obviously going to be talked amongst the conversation of the GOATs in professional wrestling, especially with WWE up there on their Mount Rushmore of individuals that just helped change and grow their business. Maybe we'll hear a little bit more about him in these next 3 episodes that we're going to be sitting down and talking about. Again, this is our 3-part special, Season 3, WWE UnReal Reviewed. Poz, I'd like to say real quick, thank you for working through the technical difficulties with me. Thank God you're such a pro, so good at this thing. You just knew to take the reins. I knew right away. Just call him, let him know where I'm at here, try to feed you some notes to carry it there. Thank you, brother. Again, we're going to be back, everybody, with part 2 and 3 of our special to cover the remainder of the series. Poz, brother, what else you got going on?
You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. Just had a really good one with Vince Russo. Got a bunch good ones with Tiger Ali Singh. Very rare Attitude Era guy. So definitely check it out. Check out Business to Business. Check out Dr. Tom. Got a lot of good stuff on the feed. Just check me out at 2Man Power Trip. You'll see everything on there.
Did you get to ask Tiger what it was like working with Randy Orton in the Attitude Era?
Not yet, but I will.
All right, brother. Hey, for everybody out there, again, it's been a joint presentation, the 2Man Power Trip of Wrestling, the Hamin Media Group. Hey, make sure you check out all of our content here on the YouTube platform. Hit us at patreon.com/Hamin Media Group. We'll be back with our next 2 episodes of this. We'll get those scheduled, let you know what the dates and times are on those. But hey, stick around. Don't go too far from your phones, from your laptop. Within a half hour, I'm going to be back live with the one, the only, Mr. Down Under the Salami Tsunami himself, Jimmy T. We're going to be talking a little this week in WWE. We got a lot to run through. We'll see everybody at 3 p.m. Top of the hour, right back here on the platform. Again, thank you, Poz, and I look forward to episode 2 with you. So start watching episodes 3 and 4.